Good
Good
morning
morning,
and
everyone.
good
And good
morning. Good
morning,
morning.
Rodney. How are you?
I'm fantastic. What a blessed Monday morning it is to everybody out there. You're watching the chat session on the This Way Network. I'm here with my wonderful co-host Nina. How was your weekend, Nina?
Oh, it was great. It was great. I got to go to the library and help volunteer with a Christmas story hour for the kids. So that was a lot of fun. And
Wonderful.
yeah, and then just spent the rest of the weekend actually putting out some decorations in my apartment.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I had the pleasure of being the MC. My voice is a little raspy, so forgive me. I was the MC for Saturday and Sunday here in Chatsworth, California at the Marine. Her name is Marine Gaffney Wolfson Art Gallery. And it is an incredible art gallery that is coming into Los Angeles. And Chatsworth is like a sub city of of Los Angeles. It's basically Los Angeles. It's just like a little area, and it's over in the valley, and it is a beautiful, beautiful art gallery. You know what? Darn, matter of fact, I wish I would have been thinking I would have had my book. Matter of fact, I think I do have my book. Excuse me, everyone. Let me see. Do I have my notes here? Do I? Yeah. Yes, I do. I have my notes, and the Marine Wolfson Art Gallery. There we go. The grand
Ah,
opening. And I have to tell you, I'll give you a little bit of background if I can. And good morning, everybody. I see some notes coming in. And forgive us, everybody. We were supposed to have with us actress and Reverend Sherry Hershey. And she was a television actress. She still is doing a lot of wonderful production. The poor thing has a cold and wasn't quite feeling well, but we're going to have her on. We're going to have a very, very special show. She's got some television projects that are family friendly. All of her productions are all about, uplifting family. They all have a wonderful, godly and positive theme to them. And so Sherry Hershey will be on with us, hopefully in the maybe next week, just depending on what Nina has cooking and what we have scheduled. But just to let you know, Maureen Gaffney Woolson, she is an artist and she was an actress as well, but she is 80 years old, a beautiful 80-year-old, I must say, and has over 250 art pieces in her gallery. And I am not going to belabor this. I'm going to give you a pan through. Here you go, everybody. Maureen Wolfson. This is her gallery, and
mhm.
so many beautiful pieces. There are pieces there from Korea, are supportive of horses. So many beautiful things. And the beautiful part about this is all of her pieces are from her life. And matter of fact, I'm holding her book. This is the book, The Girl in the Shadow. I am actually holding one of the first drafts of her book. She's releasing a book, a tell all book. And if you read this book, I mean, I'm serious. I have not even gotten through a fourth of the way through the book. And the tragedies and things that struck this woman's life as a young girl at 7 years old, so heavy. I'm like, how in the world could she recover from something like this and be able to be this prolific artist? So you will be able to order your copy soon. I am working with a publisher. We are going to be publishing her book. And that's another thing for any of the This Way listeners out there. If you have a book in you, and if you're needing a publisher, please let either Nina or I know. We have actually the capability of publishing your book. But just to let you know, some of the people who actually hold some of Marine's things, she was Artist of the Year back in 1983, and her award was the International Comedies des Beaux Arts. So I guess it's out of France. And she has a certificate of recognition for her contribution for her art. And it hangs in the state of California, the county of Los Angeles, the city of Calabasas. And when I say it is in their, it is in their main offices, it's incredible. People who own her artwork: Frank Sinatra, Liza Minnelli, Raymond Burr, Red Skelton, Mel Carter, Arthur Hiller, just so many people. And her artwork has been really, really featured in Ireland very heavily. So anyway, but back to the thing again, everybody, we're going to have Reverend Sherry Hershey on, and that'll be coming. But today we're kind of going to shift gears. And one of the things Nina was talking about is us being prepared for the holidays. It's right around the corner, people. And with Black Friday going on and everybody going crazy and trying to get their house ready, and have you bought the right gift? Is it too much stress going on? Nina, talk to us.
I think for a large part it is. Throughout my life, I'm going to confess here, I love Christmas. I love everything about it. I love giving gifts. I love all the decorations. I love the family get-togethers, and I love everything about it. But even for people who love it like me, there comes a point where you start thinking, every year I keep trying to make it better and do it more perfectly. Well, this year was good, but I never got this decoration up. And next year I'm going to make sure to do that. Or this year was good, but we never got to go to see all the Christmas trees, Christmas lights in other people's houses. We didn't do that. Next year we're going to do all the things. That's what we're telling ourselves. And we're trying to put too much pressure on one season, on one day in particular, to make it, storybook perfect, or at least the way we kind of remember it sometimes from our childhood. But we only remember the happy things from our childhood. We don't remember those parts where, we had that toy and we loved it so much and broke before the day was out, or the batteries ran down, or we had that new shiny ball and we were outside playing with it and it went up on the roof, and that was that. And we don't remember those things too much. We just remember all the happy things, and then somehow think we need to, reproduce that in our lives. So I think we're putting too much pressure on ourselves. And a long time ago, I started telling myself, okay, wait a minute. I think I'm going to start cutting back on some of these things. So now this is going to sound like sacrilege to some people, but for the last several years, I haven't had a tree up. And I didn't put a tree up because I don't like taking it down. There was nobody to help me do that.
Oh my goodness.
I like decorating it. I like seeing them, but I don't like taking it down. And I don't like it so much that I thought, well, what if this year I just didn't put one up? I'm going to see how that goes.
Nina, I've had a lot of different friends, and sometimes people will take a wonderful, beautiful house plant and decorate it. It's a plant that's already sitting in your living room. Decorate that. So, but some people really love the scent of fresh pine needles in the house, and so you're absolutely right. Have we allowed the commercialism of Christmas to really steal away the reason for the season? And sometimes when you're running around and knocking yourself out, are you really being thankful? Are you really taking a moment to stop and think? Because sometimes, there are so many people who cannot afford a tree. They cannot afford to give gifts. And sometimes you don't really want to feel obligated, because people sometimes will give you a very wonderful, nice gift. And then you have to worry, will they feel insulted if I don't match level for level? Because some people just may be a wee bit more blessed financially at that particular time, and they get you this really nice gift, and you go, how am I going to what am I going to give this person to match this gift? We got
Right,
a
right.
problem. Now there's a stress factor. So
Mhm.
sometimes I remember sometimes I was working, various jobs, and I worked jobs and there's 45 people. I remember having like 45 people on my Christmas list because everybody was exchanging gifts and you had such a heavy obligation. And I
Mhm.
said, well, so throughout the year, I would walk around. I was working at ABC News. And so I would walk around the newsroom and I would literally keep notes early in the year. And I
Mhm.
would notice, and there was one guy whose desk was just messy, papers everywhere and paper clips all over the thing. And I said, I'm going to get this guy a little caddy, just a cup for his pens and his paper clips. And do you know, it was an honest thing. It wasn't but a few bucks, but I was able to get him a cup holder that had this little sidecar where he could put all his paper clips and post-it notes on the other side. And I gave it to this guy, and he looked at me and he said, Rodney, well, thank you. I said, brother, I've noticed your desk has been really in disarray. He goes, I'm going to straighten. And that guy straightened up his desk, and he never had that problem again. And I was like, did that little silly thing that I bought that guy for a couple of bucks, did it really make that? And I know that. And I said, come on, Rodney. So I kept walking by and looking at his desk throughout the year. And I said, that solved that guy's problem. So
Mm.
sometimes you don't have to get somebody some super expensive gift. Get people something that they need. And if
Yes.
you notice a person during the winter time and they're out and it's cold and they're bare hands, get them a pair of gloves, get them a scarf, something that's going to, and it's kind of crazy, but again, sometimes the greatest gift of all is to give somebody, just let them know how much I appreciate you. I love you. I remember the nice thing you did for me. And you just remind people, doesn't cost anything to tell somebody how much you love them, how important, what they mean to you, how much they made you laugh. You know,
Mhm.
the time that you forgave me that day, I wasn't feeling really good. And it was my fault. And I created that argument and you forgave me. And I just want to let you know I was having a bad day that day and
Mhm.
you forgave me. Man, that's like giving somebody a golden goblet, and so am I right, Dina? Or am I just
Oh, I
cuckoo?
agree. I totally agree. And, something else I've done the last few years and I bet you've done this too.
Mm-hmm.
Someone gave me the idea, we don't need more things in our house. We'd rather have experiences. And I
Right.
thought, oh, I love that. And I don't have to take them on a trip to Hawaii. The experience
Right.
might be just that we get together for a visit, especially if it's something
Right.
we don't do very often.
Mm-hmm.
I love this comment that Jacqueline made. She said, I put up a tree
Yeah.
in July using my Christmas cards because my mom and dad were visiting. And Christmas, we were not able to get together because of the miles in between. So in July, they had Christmas together. That they remember that July and that Christmas probably more than any other because that was so thoughtful. Jacqueline created an experience during the time they were together. It wasn't about all the
That's
gifts,
right.
it was about the thoughtfulness and about spending the time
Yeah.
together. So
Mm-hmm.
during Thanksgiving, I told y'all my daughters were visiting. I have a daughter in
Yeah.
one in Japan. They were both here visiting. The daughter in Scotland was wanting to learn how to knit. Well, I
Wow.
haven't knitted in years, but I was taught by my mother years ago. So
Yeah.
that was the gift that I gave her. I got her a pair of knitting needles and some yarn, not a very
Wow.
expensive, but we sat together and I taught her what I had learned about how to knit.
Yeah.
And then we watched some YouTube videos to expand on what we knew, and we both learned some things. And she has just
Uh-huh.
taken it off and is running with it. And I love seeing that. I love seeing her excitement at getting to do that. But it was especially meaningful because we had the time together. And we'll
Yeah.
always have that now, that memory. So make some memories. If you can't
Right.
make the gifts, make some memories.
Don't
Oh,
want to
and
be a,
Jacqueline, she
I
also
don't want
cooked
to be,
tea, and they had a feast when her parents came in July, and
yeah.
it was about being together. That's right.
Well, I don't want to be a bummer. I hate to be a bummer. I mean, you're on a really good roll, positive, happy go lucky. However, the This Way Network, we try to get into some things sometimes. And today, just to let you know, we were going to have Reverend Sherry Hershey. If you remember her, she's a television actress, God bless her. But we had a comment that created a little controversy, and it said, I'm reading the comment, and it said it was clear in the Bible women are not to be pastors. I, you know, I don't know. I mean, I'm thinking about this, Nina. I mean, right now, uh, the world is in short, a huge deficit of people spreading the gospel and teaching about the Lord. And with so many crazy things going on in the world, I don't know if a man or a woman can speak about the Lord and win souls any better than the other one. Because I'm
Mhm.
when you are needing salvation, let me tell you something. You are at the bottom of the rung. You are on your way to death, destruction, hell, a whole bunch of other stuff. And some people say, "Oh, there ain't no such thing as hell." Um, yes, I mean, but you know, the one thing about that, I've talked to people and they say, "Oh, there's no heaven and there's no hell." I'm like, uh, what are you going to do at the end of the road and then you find out you were wrong? That's a
Mhm.
pretty that, and you know, and I think that with so many examples going on in the world, you know, that you have to call it what it is. There is black and white, there is good and evil. And you know, we, you know, here at the This Way Network, we're going to do our best to open up those conversations and try to understand where things are going, and hopefully be able to rightly divide the word of truth, because I'm telling you, this is some serious things that we need. What are your thoughts about that, Nina?
You know, I agree with you on that. And I'm also thinking that, you know, there's a whole passage in the scripture where Paul talks about, and it was Paul who said
Mhm.
about, I don't suffer a woman to teach, etc.
Right,
But
right,
it
right.
was also Paul who said that each person is responsible before the Lord, you know,
Mhm.
for what they do. And he said, and that which is not done of faith is sin. So
Mm.
another, and what he was getting at was
Mhm.
one person who says, and we could actually apply this to Christmas too. Here's one person who says, well, I celebrate these certain days because I believe I honor the Lord when I do that.
Mhm. Right.
And that's, you know, out of my faith, this is what I'm convinced of. But then there's
Mhm.
another person who says, no, every day is the same. God made them all. And therefore we shouldn't celebrate any day as. And Paul ends up saying, but let each do what his own conscience tells him,
Mhm.
because each is doing it as unto the Lord, and the Lord will be the judge. We don't need to be the judge of each other in that
There you
regard.
go.
And he said,
That's
let
right.
each do unto the Lord as his faith directs him to do.
Right.
So
And
that's what I think
I just
about
think,
things like
yeah.
this. It's like, uh, what is the point in
But you
telling
know
someone
what, Nina? There are
hey,
some.
this letter of the law, what you think is the letter of the law, when
Mhm.
really it's the spirit of the law that counts. The letter of the law kills.
Right.
The letter of the law leads to death and judgment, but the spirit of the law is life and freedom.
And you know what, Nina? We are being faced, the body of Christ right now, today, is being faced with so many things that is splitting and dividing the church. There are people who are literally divided on one of the no, not one of the most important things in life is your spiritual walk and understanding, because we're all walking towards the end, towards that light. We're all going to see it, whether it's unexpected, whether it comes early, late, as a child, old man, young man, rich, poor. We all going to meet our maker at some point. And the key thing is or have we done what we needed to do? And you just want to be able to hear that, well done, my good and faithful servant. Because if you hear anything other than that, that is a problem. You don't want to hear anything other than well done. And the thing about this is it necessary that we let these current issues, these current debates, our political views separate us from the salvation of the Lord? That, I mean, that is some serious stuff. That deeply worries me. It really does. And so I'm trying my best for me, Rodney. I can't do this for everybody. I can only do it for me. Am I staying where the Lord would want me in my life, my views, how I live it, how I walk it, how I talk it? So, this is an individual thing. We all will stand before the Lord, and we all will answer for our life, what we did with this beautiful time on this planet. And you don't want to have this book of life opened up and find out that you're wrong. So we got to do
Yeah.
some serious studying. We got to do some serious
Yeah.
studying.
Yeah. And, I don't think there's anything wrong with hating evil,
Yeah.
or wanting evil eliminated from the earth. That's essentially what God is going to do when he, um, destroys the earth we have now and makes a
Right.
new.
That's
But,
right.
but having said that, let me point out that
Mhm.
if we equated evil with people, and we
Yeah.
said, oh, well, they are evil, they for whom Christ himself died,
Right.
so that they could be redeemed.
That's
And some
right.
of them, look at Paul, who persecuted the church.
That's right.
I mean, persecuted it bad, to the point of sending people to prison and having people executed. Paul did all these things. I think it would be easy for us, if we had been living in that time, to look at Paul and say, oh, that's evil. I hope God
Yeah.
destroys him. Well,
Right.
God didn't destroy him. God redeemed him, because God has the power to do that. God
That's
saved
right.
him out of that, out of the darkness into the light, changed him completely, and
Hmm.
he became the apostle that so many of us look to, who was so prolific in all those letters and all the writings, and who inspired us all so much. So
Wow.
while we can hate evil and want evil to be eliminated, let's not
Right.
confuse that with the people themselves and
Yeah.
say, therefore, we need to just eliminate these people. That may seem like the simple solution to
Yeah.
us, but that is not God's plan. We should be
Right.
praying for those people instead, and
Hmm.
asking for God to be merciful to them the way he was to us.
That's so
Because I tell
true.
you what, if God eliminated all evil right now, there wouldn't be any of us left alive, because he knows
No,
our thought lives.
that's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. When you think about that, Nina, and I mean, you know, I think about it on, growing over my lifetime and the things, and I'm like, man, the Lord really, the Lord really showed me some mercy in this way or that way. And I mean, and I think that people really need to look at that before we really lock in and start judging and finger pointing. Where are we? Where are we in this walk? And are we? And I mean, eh, you just don't. Nobody is right all the time. You know what I mean? And it's just, you can wake up with the greatest of expectations and say, "Oh man, I'm gonna have a great day today," and somebody cut you off on the road, and the next thing you know, you're grumble, 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 and there goes the morning. You have to just kind of start thinking about, we all are so fragile,
Yeah.
and we all need
Yes.
to show so much mercy and understanding to our fellow man as well as to ourselves. Just like Mia is always talking about forgiving ourselves, Mia Pyle. And we have to make sure that we forgive ourselves like we forgive others,
Yes.
and it's very
Yes.
powerful, very liberating. Go ahead.
Well, I'm going to agree with you on that, because
Hmm.
one of the things I think we need to recognize is that everyone is going through something you know nothing about.
That's right.
And therefore it behooves us to be kind to each
Yeah.
other. I think that's what the Lord would have us do. Now, I'm
Yeah.
not excusing sin here.
No.
I really do think, a lot of times we say, we look at people who have been arrested for criminal acts,
Oh yeah.
true criminal acts, killing
Hmm.
people, hurting people, stealing from others, knowingly stealing from others. And then we think to ourselves, oh, well, but they had a hard life. Look what happened to them that made them do this. Well, my answer to that is, everyone has had some hard things in their
Oh
lives.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
yet, not everyone, as a matter of fact, most people don't use that as an excuse to go do these other things.
Right.
So,
Yeah, I'll have to tell you.
yes,
And,
we
and
have to be, yeah, we have to hold people accountable when they've
right.
sinned. The Bible is clear about that too.
Hmm.
And yet, our attitude, even when we have to hold people accountable, should be, but we look forward to you being restored. We look
Right.
forward to the day that you will recognize your sin, turn away from it, and that you will be restored.
Right. Right. And I have to tell you, it's really sad. I keep seeing it. A matter of fact, because as we're trying to intake news and you're trying to see what's going on in the world, a lot of people say, "Oh, I don't watch this." You have to be, we have to study really, and and again, there's people are still talking about the young men. I'm looking at it here on a website, and they were talking about the young men who were just walking home, and the Palestinian young men that were just walking home, and this guy comes out on his porch unprovoked and he shoots, boom, boom, boom. He shoots all three of them, and then I try to. Sometimes it's kind of crazy. I try to really look at the face of these people. When of course, they put the mug shot up, and I'm like, what must be going through your mind right now? Because that person was so free. They were free. He was a free man, and he chose to come out there unprovoked and shoot and injure those three men, and he says not guilty. And I'm like, that it just doesn't make any sense. They really should kind of pick up the pace there. I mean, because they proved it, ballistics, and we don't want to talk about these things, but and it's so sad because you just imagine the horror that these poor men went through. And again, it's all across the board. And when you start talking about what's happening in Israel, what's happening in Palestine, there are people on both sides of this thing that have no power and they don't want to fight. They just want to live, and they are caught in the middle, and there's nothing that they can do. They don't have the money to escape. They don't have the physical power. Some of these people are elderly people, and they're caught in the crossfires. We have got to pray that the Lord will take care of everyone on both sides, because there's some people that I just could not imagine how scary that must be. It
You
must
know,
be
I
terrible.
I agree with you, and I think of that for them, and I had not heard of that until you told me about that. But I think
Hmm.
about the same way what it must have been for the Israelis the day that they were attacked
Yeah,
and that people
of
broke into
course.
their homes and took their family from them. And so,
So wrong.
but we have to remember who God gave the sword to. He didn't give it to us individually because he knew
Yeah,
each one of us would
yeah.
just revenge and there would be
Mm,
nothing but fighting and killing each other all the time. So God has raised up
that's
authorities.
right.
They wouldn't be there if God
Hmm.
hadn't put them in place. And it's those
Hmm.
authorities who he has given the sword to hold them
Right.
accountable and make sure that these things don't happen on a regular basis because there is accountability.
And Nina, we've got to, as the body of Christ, churches coast to coast, they need to start. We were talking about this before we started. There needs to be greater accountability on the church's part, where
Mhm.
they are talking to people and reaching out and saying, listen, whatever you're feeling, whether you were, you were wronged as a person, be it short term or way back as a child, if it's your political views, your financial status, whatever it is, if there's anything in your heart and spirit that would make you harm somebody, innocent people, I mean, to go into a store and to do something crazy, or a community, if there's anything like that that is floating around in your head, the community, the body of Christ, the churches need to be talking and reaching out full time to get people to say, hey, listen, go talk to somebody. Don't go into the holiday season, because they say depression is a serious thing that hits during the holiday season, because some people don't have huge families. Some people don't have Christmas trees. So many people don't have the money to buy and exchange gifts. And again, a lot of it, people say, oh, it's pagan. The whole thing is pagan. I understand, but it's just the gift of, this season is a time where people can just, for me, the holiday season is the one time of the year where even some of the hardest hardballs kind of ease up a little bit, just a little bit. And I think that we need not to forget to be thankful this holiday season. Because boy, I'm telling you, being here in America, just look here, look at what's going on overseas. We have a lot to be thankful for. We are so blessed in the United States. And another thing, to be here, regardless of side, you do not need to be, we don't need to be at war on our land. We're not there. Yes, we have people there. We have loved ones and colleagues, but to create that same type of environment here, we've got to be, we can't do that. We've got to be pulling and wishing the best for some of these things not to be. Anyway, so Nina, there goes the time, 30 minutes.
It always goes by so fast. And there's so much more we could say. There's so many more things I'd love to bring all of you about, things that we've discovered. I've discovered, Rodney, I'm sure, has some things too that have made the holidays just so much more meaningful and special and relaxed. And I would love to bring those to you on a future date. So maybe we'll get to do that.
We'll do it before the holidays. We will put together a little checkoff list of things. I'm telling you, I have to tell you, I have had holidays and I said, I'm going to go get a hamburger. That's it. I'm not doing anything. I'm going to go I'll get a burger and fries, and some people, or a turkey burger or veggie burger, something. And just go do whatever makes you happy, where you have the least amount of stress and impact, even financial impact. Because I'm telling you, come on, Nina, you can go spend hundreds of dollars putting a meal together and prepping. And sometimes I've literally said, I'm going to stay in bed today. I'm not going to do anything, and take that power. And boy, did I sleep like a baby. I said, the world is going crazy. I'm not going anywhere. And I didn't. I stayed in bed all day.
Yeah. And just treated yourself to something you don't normally get to do. I knew a couple once that both of their kids were grown. They had married. They had their own families. And this couple decided, you know what? We don't want our kids to have the pressure of deciding who to go be with for Christmas. So they told their kids in advance. They said, we've already made plans for Christmas. So our plan is we're going to go out to a Chinese restaurant, because that's the only thing we can find open. But we're going to save that and not eat Chinese, for at least a couple of months, so that we're looking forward to it. And then we're going to go to a movie. And that's what we're going to do on Christmas Day. So, and we're looking forward to that. So what we want to do is get together with each of you before Christmas or after Christmas. We can do Christmas with you then, but that will free you up to go be with your in-laws if you want to do that, or to just have your Christmas at home with your family. Your kids appreciated that so much. I thought that was such a loving, giving thing to do, and a wonderful thing for themselves, because they took charge of their own happiness for the day.
Right. That's right.
And had a great Christmas with just each other.
Yeah. Well, everybody, it's been a wonderful Monday again. You've been watching the chat session here on the This Way Network. Nina, love you. God bless you. Have a wonderful Monday and the rest of the week, everybody out there. Be good to yourself. And Nina, I'll let you wrap it up.
Well, I just want to tell all of you, we are so, so thankful for you and glad you're here with us. And thank you so much for all those wonderful comments y'all made. And we just want to tell you to be of good courage because God is with us and we are not alone.
God bless
Bye,
everybody.
everybody.
God bless. Take care.